Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Refuge. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations to the Akim and her pushing this gospel and truth and its sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh Bahashem Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh Bahashem Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is Brother Carter Watts from the Arizona Great Millstone Camp, coming back at you, Lord will, with an edifying lesson to the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Shai. Lord will, it is edifying. Lord will, it is straight to the point. Right, and as you said right here, man, Esau back on, his bullshit with dealing with, this famine. Right, we understand that Esau Edom ultimately has an agenda where he wants everybody to eat his lab-grown meats. Right, recently he's been putting his mRNA, potion, inside these meats, man, to ultimately get everybody to, to take, or ingest, this potion that he has created, which again, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, right? This whole reason why he created this potion and is ultimately been trying to, ultimately push it out is so he can ultimately, dwindle the population, right? Going back to the Georgia Guidestones where, it says he wants a population, at or under 500 million, individuals, right? Which currently the world is around, 7.8 to 8.2 billion people on Earth. So that's a lot of people that, Esau Edom is ultimately trying to get rid of, and he's trying to do it in any form or fashion that he sees fit, right? And, part of that is ultimately, part of that agenda is ultimately getting rid of these individual, self-sufficient farms, so to speak, man, right, that ultimately operate without, his oversight, right? As you see right here, it says food supply attack. U.S. government raided and shut down Golden Valley Farms, an independent meat producer in Virginia. So he's getting rid of, these meat producers, like we've seen in these meat producing power plants, Tyson Chicken and many other, meat, processing plants really around the world, right? The last few years he's been getting rid of them, right? As well as now he's starting to attack these individual, independent, not so big, name meat producer farms, right? Again, in order for you to have nowhere else to go except for him when it comes to your meats and this, that, and the third, right? Giving him, right, ample opportunity, right, to ultimately infect you, right, with whatever, he wants to ultimately affect you with, right? Whatever kind of disease. We know this damn devil has history of doing that to the Israelites, right? Giving them blankets laced with smallpox, right, and so on and so forth. So really, this damn devil isn't to be trusted, man, But again, we're going to read a little bit on this, grab a few scriptures, man, and then we'll close out. I'll read this beginning statement right here. It says, Samuel Fisher, owner of Golden Valley Farms, is being prosecuted by the U.S. government, all because his family raises their own animals, slaughters the meat on the farm, and sells that meat to the community. Mr. Fisher is a mild-mannered father of 5 who owns and operates a 100-acre cattle farm in the heartland of Virginia. The farm began 5 years ago selling milk, cream, and yogurt before they began to butcher and sell their own meat. Now the farm is under attack by government operators who are trying to shut the farm down and stop the man from feeding his own family. Now, I'm not going to read this middle paragraph right here, but I am going to read. We'll start right at the top right here, and we'll read all the way down. It's not too much longer. But again, Esau Edom ultimately trying to step in, and accuse this man of, all different types of things, and and take him on a legal run, so to speak, or really in Esau's case, it's always illegal, right? Trying to take and steal, because Esau Edom lies, right? He'll sit there and conjure up these charges and so on and so forth, which as you read this article, it basically goes into that as well, right? Conjuring up these charges, right, to ultimately get his land, right? So that way they can have full control, over what, is ultimately produced, right? Going back to, Monsanto and, just the history of Esau Edom, when dealing with farming, when dealing with agriculture, which right now we're seeing, some of that same action, right? That same attitude, right? Happening in Maui right now, man, right? They're trying to ultimately buy off the people's homes, their land, and build a smart city, right? A new, 15-minute, cities going on, man. That's what they're ultimately trying to build, trying to produce, you know. But nonetheless, again, we see that within this article as well, right? And we'll start right here and read all the way down. It says Fisher said that the lockdowns in 2020 forced him to wait 8 to 12 months to schedule butchering process. At that time, his customers were stocking up on meat as stores were running out of supply, right? And we ultimately saw that, right? Everybody started to wig out. The lockdown happened, right? People lost a lot of jobs, right? Ultimately, business had to stop, right? It says all of a sudden we had a lot of need for meat. Fisher said, well, there was no option taking it to USDA facility, so that's when the trigger was pushed to do it ourselves, right? It says customers were buying mostly from our own meat, not so much from the USDA, and that's ultimately what pissed Esau off, right? He wants to be the head honcho, right? Esau Edom ultimately wants to be, the one that, everybody goes to, which ultimately, that's ultimately his right? Him being in control of the earth, him being in charge, right? That's ultimately his right? And it also includes, his pride, man, his pride. That's that's his main motivator for why he does what he does, because he's prideful, man. It says then the pandemic came and there was no other option but either have it available or process it ourselves. So we started processing ourselves. We put additions to the building and made a processing room, and we certainly like it now. Right? It says Fisher's customers preferred that the meat be processed on site. They own part of the business. They own some of the meat, some of the herd. Fisher explained. It says, my thinking was we can butcher their cows, process it, and sell it to them. I told the state all of this, but they said, no, there's no way around it. You can't do that. Fisher said the inspector asked permission to search the farm. Mr. Fisher denied the request, and they told me we'll be back and left, Fisher said, which, again, when you read in the article, they came in, ultimately basically raided his farm. It was, ultimately, basically deeming most, if not all, his product to be unsellable. So he couldn't, ultimately, sell or any of the product, or even, feed his family, which I think is about to go into right here, right? It says the state targeted his farm. From there forward, they came in and took pictures and lied to the courts, claiming that Mr. Fisher was selling raw meat and was a public health risk. When the state returned to his farm, they raided the freezers and packed a U-Haul truck full of their meat. Mr. Fisher was ordered not to feed anyone again, not even his dogs or his own family. None of these customers have ever gotten sick from his product. Many depend on the product for their health and food security. So again, this is Esau Edom's MO, man, right? He'll go in there, and basically shut down shop, and force you to, not be able to make any money, right? Because that's, one of their forms of money, right? As you read, in this article, up a little bit more, right? That's one of their forms of money, that how they ultimately keep, business going, right? But Esau Edom is shutting that down, preventing them from being able to basically make money, and which is ultimately going to hinder that business. It'll ultimately make, might, cause them to shut down, or, have to sell their cows out, or however it may be, right? We understand why Esau Edom is doing this, and we understand the outcomes, right? We've seen it, a lot recently, right? The last few years, we've been seeing a lot of this type of action happen, right? Really around the country. You got Kill Gates ultimately buying up farmland, preventing, enforcing farmers to ultimately sell their businesses, and so on and so forth, man. Which is one of the reasons why, the cargo ships and stuff weren't able to come in, right? Because that ultimately hindered these farmers and these businesses, right? Especially when, the Mississippi River ultimately dried up, right? They hindered a lot of these, inland farmers, man, which a lot of them are feeling the effects even more now, man, which again allows for these people to, allows for the government to ultimately buy up this land and establish their kind of, their control over what gets produced, right? How much it's sold for, right? So on and so forth, This is Esau Edom's MO, man, So with that, I want to grab a few scriptures, right? Psalm 64, and we'll start at verse 2. It says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. And when Esau Edom ultimately gathers up and he has these, G summits and, and so on and so forth, right? Esau Edom is basically behind closed doors, and he's discussing, right, what he needs to do in order to, again, continue to further his agenda, right? And these are one of the things, right? Him going around, and preventing these farmers, independent farmers, from being able to sell their product, which is going to just trickle downhill, right? It's going to hurt the market, right? The supermarkets and so on and so forth, right? It's going to hurt the people, right? It's going to cause prices to go up. It's going to cause people that if they, still continue to want to eat meat, want to continue to buy meat, they have to get it directly from him, which again, he's putting the mRNAs, the potions inside these meats, which are going to make people more sick, which is ultimately, see a lot more people starting to drop dead, man. So again, it just trickles downhill, right? Esau Edom is the one that's ultimately putting this, agenda in motion, man. We'll drop down to verse 5. It says, they encourage themselves in evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? And really, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua sees everything that he does, that he does, man. Right? And again, through the Spirit, he allows, right, the prophets, right? He pulls it up and allows the prophets to be able to, get into these articles and see what this damn devil does, right? And to be able to get out there to the people, right? And warn the people of what's going on and what's about to take place, man. It says in verse 6, it says, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. That's right, man. And again, Esau Edom, he studies destruction, man, right? So he's ultimately trying to figure out, what he can do to ultimately get the people, man. And again, you're starting to see some of that, his ways and thoughts being played out right now, man. But again, there's for those that truly fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, there's nothing for us to fear, of what this damn devil is doing, man. Because at the end of the day, right, this, him ultimately, hindering these farmers and shutting these farmers down, that's going to hinder the market, right? And it's going to aid in the famine that's ultimately, coming across the earth, man. Right? But again, there's nothing for us to fear because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, is bringing about this famine, right, for those who are wicked, those who are evil, right? So it's not for those who are ultimately trying their best to serve Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And we're going to grab this, right? This is Second Esdras chapter 15, and we'll start at verse 5. It says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, right? And we understand that the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai controls both sides of the spectrum, man, right? He controls evil and good, and that includes those who do good, right? Especially Esau Edom, right? The scriptures say that the hand of the Most High is on the, matter of fact, let's grab that real quick. On the minds of the kings, right? Proverbs 21 and verse 1, it says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will, right? So, and ultimately, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is having Esau Edom ultimately do what he's doing, man, right? He's killing two birds with one stone. So he's furthering judgment, as well as allowing Esau Edom to, continue to push his agenda, man. So the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is in control, right? So really, we have nothing to fear, man. Let me go back to that. In Second Esdras 15 and verse 5, I'll read it again. Verse 5, it says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, right? And here's why, right? It says, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. So the Lord is ultimately bringing about this famine and this destruction that's going to come, right? Because of people's wickedness, because of people's, evil, right, that they're doing, right? And that brings me to Second Esdras 16 and verse 19 says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, right? The Lord is ultimately sending these judgments out, and furthering these judgments, right, to correct the evil and wickedness that's here, right? The Lord said, and I think it's in Isaiah the 11th chapter or Isaiah the 13th chapter, where the Lord said what, man? That he's going to, ultimately punish the world for their wickedness and the earth for their, the world for their iniquity, man, roughly paraphrasing that scripture, right? The Lord is going to, get rid of all the wicked, right? As he says in Second Esdras, the 4th chapter, right, beginning at the 28th verse, that all that wickedness and evil has to be purged out of the earth in order for the righteousness, the good, to come, man. So again, we don't have anything to worry about, right? For those that are ultimately trusting and believing in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, right? And follow Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Hey, we have nothing to worry about, man. You know? So let me grab this and we'll end out with this. This is Psalms chapter 46. And I'll start at verse 1. It says that the chief musician for the sons of Korah, a song upon Alamoth, right? It says the Most High is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble, right, man? And we understand that Jacob's trouble, right, is right around the corner, right? Which is the next major prophecy to take place, which is ultimately going to try the faith, really, of the whole world, right? Pursuant to Revelations 3 and 10, right? And as long as we continue to endure to the end, right, the scriptures say the same shall be saved, man, right? Meaning the Lord is going to be your refuge and he will deliver you from said troubles, pursuant to 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, beginning at the 7th, the 7th verse, man. That's what we want. That's what we need, man. That's where our mind is constantly stayed upon, man. Right? Staying upon the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. What scriptures say that he will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed upon us, stayed upon him, man. It's like he stayed upon the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Right? So again, there's nothing for us to worry about, man. And I'll end it with this. We'll drop down. We'll start at verse 7 and we'll read all the way down, right? It says, the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua of hosts is with us. The power of Jacob is our refuge, man. And I want to go to that word refuge real quick, right? Because it's pulled up that word twice, right? It says shelter or protection from danger, assistance in distress, right? And that's Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua for those who speak uprightly, for those who trust and believe and have faith in him, man. Right? This is why the scriptures say, cast not away therefore your confidence, right? Which hath great recompense reward, man. Scriptures also say to hold fast to that which thou hast, which is our faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, trust and belief and confidence in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, because ultimately that's what's ultimately gonna, get us through the times that are coming, right? Jacob's trouble, World War III, right? All the different little things that are ultimately gonna happen in those times, man. It says temporary shelter for the destitute or homeless, right? Seek safety or shelter. Let's see what else. A condition of being safe or sheltered from pursuit, danger, or trouble. There you go, man. Going back to it. Verse 8. It says, come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolation he hath made in the earth. He maketh the wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Be still, right? It says, be still, right? So ultimately, we're not to be shaken, right? When these things ultimately, come upon us, man. We're not to be shaken when we see these things, man. Right? Because we know and we understand why these things are coming to pass, right? First and foremost, prophecy has to be fulfilled, And secondly, right, it's to ultimately judge the wicked, man. Judge, those who are committing iniquity, right, in the earth, right, beginning with Esau, Edom, all the way down to 2/3 of the nation of Israel, right? They're all going to be judged, right, by way of these different forms of judgment that are going to be coming upon the earth here soon, right? It says, be still and know that I am the Most High. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua of hosts is with us, right? He's with us, right? Again, those who are striving to serve him, those who are striving, right, to follow after righteousness every single day, right? Purging themselves of that old man, right, and putting on that new man, right, according to Ephesians, the 4th chapter, right, following after righteousness, right, and not evil and wickedness that's here in the world, right? It says that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua of hosts is with us. The power of Jacob is our refuge, right? So Lord, will we be part of the elect? The Lord's going to protect us. He's going to be our protection in the times to come, man. So keep the faith, keep pushing, right? Keep enduring, right? Keep running that race. We're almost out of here, right? We see these things happening, but yet we are to be still, right? We're not to be shaken in mind, right, of these things that are happening, So with that, Lord will, it is edifying. Lord will, to straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua B'Shem Rachak Wadash, double honor, said the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the great millstone. Till next time, I say shalom.